Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Moonlit Heart Society podcast. My name is Megan.
And I'm Arian.
Ah, welcome to 2026. Happy New Year, everybody. We hope you had a happy and safe New Year celebration and holiday season since we took a little bit of a break. Um, do you do anything for New Year's, Arian?
I watched the Stranger Things finale.
Did you?
Yeah,
I haven't. Was it? Did you like it? I've seen a bunch of stuff about it.
it was okay. Like it's not like I would be usually I'm really excited to like rewatch their seasons and like
Yeah,
this last season I'm like, I could probably just watch season 1 through 4 or whatever and be fine. Like I didn't really care for the last season. It wasn't
yeah.
terrible, but you know.
I
eh.
think I have seen through season three, maybe. Definitely one and two, maybe season three. Wait, no, what's the season where Hopper dies at the end?
Season 2
Is it
and
two?
season 3 is with like um Steve working at Scoops Ahoy.
Oh wait, no, I have seen that one. Okay, so I think it was season three. That I've only seen through. I haven't seen the last two seasons then, but is it worth it? Should I get caught up?
I mean, sure. I don't know. It just didn't seem like as much love was put into the last season as the other one.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the first season was just so good that I feel like it's one of those shows where it's hard to like ever come close to that. Not only just like
hmm
the show itself, but like I think the nostalgia that like kind of came around it. Everybody was like so into it at that time. So, well, all right, I'll add it to my list. I don't get through many shows or movies these days because all of my time is spent child rearing. All right. Just want a reminder to follow us on social media at Moonlit Heart Society across all platforms. And you can find Arian at the Faux Jellyfish and me at Maggie Cat. If you're not already following us, you totally should. Arian does beauty content and she's really cute. And sometimes I'm funny. So follow us.
Even that, I look like a scrub most of the time when we do these.
All right. And then subscribe to our YouTube channel for video episodes of this podcast, and audio listeners can find us on Spotify. Or if you're super chill, you can join our Patreon and get all our episodes but ad free, plus exclusive moonlighting content and deep dive episodes that you can't get anywhere else. Reading calendars, book voting, access to a newsletter, and more. So head over to patreon.com/Moonlit Heart Society to become a member today. What are we deep diving, Arian?
We're deep diving the Broken Kingdom series by L.J. Andrews. And this month we'll be discussing book 2, Court of Ice and Ash. Ash. So join us for that.
Yes. I had to so I I had to like go and look up all the titles because even though it's my favorite series ever, I feel like I don't ever think of the each book as its own individual title.
No,
Court
it's
of
just the
Ice and
Broken
Ash.
Kingdom. Yeah, that's
Right.
all I know. You could be telling me a completely different
Uh
book.
right. Like and then they all sound the same anyway, so the titles, I mean. And of
hmm
course, we have our bonus moonlighting content over on Patreon that you can't get anywhere else. This is just an extra 15 to 30 minutes of content where you can engage with us and others in the book club. And we post every Wednesday directly following the full episode, so be sure to check that out. This week, we'll be talking about New Year's resolutions and our 2026 ins and outs. It's going to be a lot of fun. Join us. All right, let's jump into today's episode. So, last time we covered chapters 1 through 15 of In the Veins of the Drowning by Kalie Cassidy. This week we are covering chapters 16 through 31 through the end of the book. And when we left off, Imogen and Theodore were on the shores outside an inn where they stopped for the night as Imogen spots 3 ships on the horizon that look an awful lot like King Nemea searching for her. Imogen and Theodore are on their way to the Mage Seer to perform a severance ritual to rid them of their siren blood bond and to have Imogen's prophecy read. At the end of our reading, we predicted that Imogen's prophecy would involve her biggest fear, that Theodore would end up choosing Imogen as his queen, and of course, they would end up together, and that this would slight the Empress, driving her to join forces with King Nemea in retaliation, which would set up like a future conflict in maybe a second book. So That's where we're heading into today's reading. We're picking up with chapter 16. Upon seeing Nemea's ships on the horizon, Imogen panics and insists on continuing their journey to the Mage Seer instead of staying at the inn so as not to waste any time. Before long, they stop just off the road to sleep, but instead of sleeping, Imogen asks Theodore, or Theo as he asks her to call him, to teach her how to use his powers. While teaching, he explains the story of the stained glass siren on his ship, how his father fell in love with a siren but was required to marry a noble wife, assume the throne, and produce an heir. He married Theo's mother, but kept the siren on as his mistress. One day, the siren disappeared. Shortly after that, Theo was born. After Imogen begins to grasp his abilities, a scream rents the night, and the pair follows the whales to a small village where a siren is injured and sprawled on the beach. She's been attacked by a Nekya. I hope I'm saying that right. uh, and says that her daughter is still in the ocean. Imogen goes in after her, begging her powers to save her, but instead comes face to face with two Nekya who drop a bomb on her. Yusha's power comes from Imogen. You and I are one, bound with your given blood, bound with the words. The bodies are reanimated by my power, and I am animated by yours. There you are, just like your mother. I have waited so long. Um, So it turns out that she does have access to her powers. We questioned that last time. I was like, doesn't she have like his abilities? Because I think they said that in the beginning and then never did anything with it. So it turns out she does. At this point, I suspect that Theo's father's siren would come back. I had a note that I thought that she just disappeared, is what Theo said. And nothing is ever dead unless you see it die on screen or on page, right? So I don't know who she is, but I just had like a feeling that she was going to show up someday.
Yeah. All right, so chapter 17, after Imogen helps Theo heal the wounded siren and her daughter, he introduces her to the villagers as their queen. She tells Theo that she's discovered, and they decide to ask the Mage Seer to sever both bonds, theirs and the one with Usia. When they arrive at the shore with only the beach and a narrow strip of water separating them from the Mage Seer's island, Theo crafts a shelter from the rain and tells Imogen why he's afraid to return here. 7 years ago, he and his father came to the Seer to perform a transference ritual that would give Theo what little power his father held and allow him to ascend the throne. He didn't know it, but the ritual required the life of the giver, and he watched his father die that day. In his grief, he drank a stolen bottle of poison and was rescued by an old couple that lived nearby, Hector and Antonia. After sharing his story, the two also share some heat in their little nest before suddenly the Mage Seer parts the water and beckons them to her island.
He All right. Chapter 18. Imogen and Theo arrive at the Mage Seer's doorstep, and Imogen decides to try to go in alone, locking the door on Theo after she slips inside the hut. While Theo tries to break the door down, she confronts the Mage Seer, who greets her with the same haunting line. There you are, dearest. I've waited so long. Imogen asks for information on Lygia. Still don't know if I'm saying that right. And where she went, and for her two bonds to be severed. After letting Theo into the hut, the Mage Seer Rohana agrees to read the prophecy and perform the severance in exchange for payment in flesh. Theo makes her swear not to touch Imogen, but then the potion they drink leaves him unconscious, and Imogen volunteers flesh as payment herself. Rohana recites the prophecy. There is a crown ripped, ripped, ripped from the head. There's a bond cut, cut, cut from the blood. The queen lies drained of her divinity. The king sits wrecked and ravaged beneath her wing. What they have made will decimate the order of all things. What they've made will bring chaos, will bring ruin, and will bring death. Uh, so Rohana is horrifying. And I put in here, it's giving the Weaver. I don't know if that was quite what I was trying to describe, but I feel like they were describing her as just this like eyeless, hairless, white, like sack of flesh. And like eat the eating of like the hair and the skin. I was like, ooh. Oh, and then her initial thoughts, of course, is that she's the queen and that Theo is the king that will be destroyed because of her. But then, like, immediately, it the prophecy takes like a different meaning. So do you think that there's any hidden meaning in that prophecy, or that she's kind of like figured it out essentially?
I feel like I feel like the king sits wrecked and ravaged. I pretty much feel like that's more talking about her King Nemea and him dying.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like she's worrying about
Yeah.
Theo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because I know that like they she kind of figures out like, or essentially they confirm, I think in the next chapter we'll get to, but like that it's um talking instead about her parents. But like I don't know, I didn't get that there was much of like meaning in the prophecy that she hadn't figured out. Like nothing else hidden that we will. I mean, I think it was kind of surface.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chapter 19. Imogen awakens in Rohanna's cottage as she's preparing the severing drought. Theo is still unconscious. Rohanna claims she cannot sever the bond to Eucia as it is a spell and spells can only be broken by the caster. Imogen has the revelation that the true interpretation of the first part of the prophecy is not about her and Theo, but rather Nemea and Ligia. Ligia. I don't know. Her parents, Rohanna
Yeah,
reveals
I don't
that
know.
it's just like whatever. Um, and that Theo would give up his throne for her. Imogen takes the severing draught and Theo's unconscious body and leaves the cottage, using her power to part the water and ride back on shore. There, Theo refuses to wake and worried, she takes him up the road to Hector and Antonia's home. Once she arrives, Hector rushes to help her and she introduces herself as Theodore's wife.
I just noted that I felt like this was still heavily hinting that at this time that Nomea and the Empress were in cahoots and that they were gonna like still kind of join forces and go to war.
The Empress Obelia.
Yeah.
I feel like this is just like also for whenever we get to book two. I feel like the Empress is actually gonna be the bigger villain we didn't realize.
You think so?
And King Nemea is just like this little bitch that has to be killed on the way.
That's true. I I had this feeling that she was something else, like from the first half of the book.
Well, so I used to really like looking into like the Victorian flower meanings, and Abelia has
Yes.
like negative things to it. So it's like, what is it?
Really?
Malevolence and let me go look it up. Abelia flower meaning.
I love that because I would not have clocked that.
Arrogance, malevolence. What else is it? Some arrogance and ill will.
Sneaksy Hobbit sis.
Mm-hmm. Its poisonous nature and association with Lobelia Sackville Baggins and The Hobbit. But it could also be represent love, good luck, and
Oh.
loyalty. And it's blue variety, so it depends on the color. But the malevolence is the most prominent.
Well, isn't blue their color?
I don't know.
I'm trying to remember. I thought they kind of had this like bluish color in their flags, or like
Let's
whatever
see.
the
Blue, white, and pink.
the flowers, or is that their flag?
Oh, I'm thinking Lobelia, not Obelia.
Oh, really?
But it's still the same though. Probably where the name's from.
It is, yeah. I'm pretty sure. I don't have. I'd have to go look, but I'm pretty sure that they said that like so the color of the flags on the ships. I'm pretty sure they made note in the book that the flags of Obelia were like a blue.
Which
So
they
hey, there you go.
uh, traditionally symbolizing malevolence blue, but in modern times it means love and devotion, purity and tranquility, but that's blue, white, and pink. But
Mm,
that's just what I thought.
I love it. I'm on
That's
board.
just what I thought.
Chapter 20. Arriving at Hector and Antonia's home, they get Theodore cleaned and cared for, and Imogen waits for him to wake up. While Imogen bathes, Theo finally awakens, and she tells him of the prophecy and her new quest to find a way to sever her bond with Yusha. Leaving out the final line of the prophecy, depicting her path of destruction, Imogen tells him that Nemea is her father and that the siren wing in his throne room belongs to her mother, Ligeia. Things quickly heat up as they finally start to give in to their attraction. But the moment Theo tells Imogen to burn the severance drought, she panics, afraid of Rohanna's warning that he would give up his throne for her. Their stubbornness puts an end to their spicy activities just in time for Antonia to arrive with dinner. Can you hear my eyes rolling? I hate the interruptions. Oh my god. And also,
Every time.
I also just hate like when characters just have the same argument over and over, and like also when they make decisions that are like
Yeah.
they're like making decisions that are self-sacrificing because they think it's in the best interest of another character, but then they withhold information from that character. I'm like, you're not
Yeah.
letting them
I'm just
like make an informed decision. All you're
see,
doing is like making choices for them, and I hate that.
I'm just feeling like I don't know. Like I know that they had to like bond, but then also I'm like, why did we bond in the first place? But I know it needed to happen. But also I'm like, why? Just to sever it. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
it's fine. Anyway,
Eh.
chapter 21. Hector tells Theo about the nearby town of Amos being sacked and burned by Seraphi
I think
and
so.
mercenary ships, barring the doors and windows. Theo explains that Nemia's ships are searching for Imogen after they bonded and stole away from the fort where he'd been abusing her. He reveals her identity to them and they pack up and leave the next morning. Imogen continues to keep the prophecy's last line secret from Theo and insists they still use the drought to sever their bond. Tension mounts as he insists that their feelings are more than their bond and wants them to stay bonded. While on the road back to the palace, they're intercepted by his soldiers and Lachlan on their way to retrieve the king. Lachlan reveals that Amos and another western township, Notos, have been sacked by Nemia's fleet with more ships than he could reasonably be able to afford.
Uh, I think,
Yeah, the same argument over and over.
yeah, yeah. And also, I think it's interesting that, now how his character's flipped, right? So it was like he's the duty bound guy, and now he's the one that wants to shirk duty and just like,
Yeah,
which I think I get that like the prophecy was saying that like he was gonna then give up this like who he is and everything for her, and she doesn't want that for some reason. But I just think it's interesting how the tables have turned.
yeah. Hmm.
All right, chapter 22. While traveling back to the palace, Imogen and Theo reveal the mage seer's prophecy to Lachlan, who is less than thrilled that they're still bonded and accuses Theo of falling in love with her. Before Theo can throw back much more than a punch to the nose, their convoy is attacked by mercenaries, who Imogen recognizes as the men they encountered at the inn. Using her lure, she kills one and snares the others, catching Lachlan and almost killing him in the process. Theo stops her, but then he gives her the cold shoulder for the rest of the trip to the palace. When they arrive, the Empress has thrown a grand engagement party and pounces on Imogen when Theo's pulled away to dance with the princess. The Empress asks about her name, revealing that it is Obelian, and the Nells were an old wealthy family that she grew up with. One night, 25 years ago, at a gathering in Obelia after the Empress's consort had died, the remaining four members of the Nell family were slaughtered and robbed of their jewelry, a set of spinal earrings, a necklace, and a ring. All Lucosian royals were in attendance, including King Nemea and Queen Ligeia. The Empress implies that Nemea was involved, stating he was very handsome then. He was very attentive to me in my shock and grief over my late husband. I wonder how he has fared. At this point, I'm suspicious that Theo's mad about being confronted by Lachlan and not at Imogen. Um, like she's blaming herself for again.
Chapter 23. Imogen runs from the ballroom to Theo's room, where Agatha finds her. She dresses and prepares to take the severing draught. When Theo arrives, professes his love for Imogen, and they finally give in to all the tension with a spicy sex scene. Afterward, a basket of books are delivered in the night. Theo had sent a request to the Hermites to lend him all of the great god Jessup's books on magic.
Um, okay.
Huh.
Uh, I feel like I just have to give a little appreciation to Theo's professions of love. Like this man, I feel like she did like some research when she was like writing Theo's every time that he professes his love to Imogen, it's like Shakespeare. I'm like, damn, okay.
Yeah.
Uh okay, chapter 24. Jessup's books reveal the story of the first mage and how magic came to be. Lygia's sister, Yusha, grew jealous of her god's power and devised a way to create a new kind of power through mixing siren's blood, special concoctions, making sacrifices, and reciting well worded prayers. These spells allowed her to read prophecies, but over time, she began to weaken as she didn't realize the cost of magic was more than double. She began seeking out past payment as she tried to regain her strength and youth, and returned to the first woman whose prophecy she'd ever read, a mother and her young child, Rohana. Rumor stated that when Yusha arrived at their home, she was frail and withered, and when she left it, was renewed with life and vigor, and Rohana's mother was never seen again. Do we pause? Do we think that Rohana's going to be further involved? Because I feel like they dropped this huge bomb that Rohana was like connected to Yusha in like more of a way, and then just like we don't see or hear from her again.
Um, so you see us. She like control. She can control others, right? And like make them do her bidding, right?
I think so,
Is that what I
or
gathered?
at least like at least she can do it with the corpses. Like they're not alive, but she can animate
Yeah.
corpses. Yeah.
It makes me wonder if I know this is like way far-fetched, but like if Rohan is actually her
Oh,
and like
maybe.
she has like this body double that's like, way better off than the golem that's living in
Um,
the Mage Seer's hut, eating pieces of
Maybe,
people.
yeah, maybe. Well, because they talk about other mages like later on, but Rohana was I think the first one after Yusha herself, but then also is practicing in the same location that Yusha was supposed to have been practicing. So it would be interesting, maybe if she is just a puppet.
Yeah, like what the one that we currently see and the one that's like that grotesque thing and like
Yeah.
I mean it's still reading prophecies.
Right.
I don't know.
Hmm.
Just a weird thought.
Yeah, I like it. Uh, she con- she consecrated the sacred homes as her ritual site, and every mage since has chosen one sacred ritual spot to perform their craft. Theo claims the first mage was executed and thrown off the coast of Anthemosa, the Siren's home island. Imogen decides she will use three spells to defeat Yusha: one to find her, one to sever the bond, and one to destroy her. Lachlan finds them in Theo's rooms and informs them that the Empress insists on having the Obelian blessing ceremony today and threatens to force their severance by taking it to the council in the name of protecting their kingdom. Lachlan is giving suspicious. Agatha is horrified that he would force a severance on them like they were once forced into. And the guilt of causing Theo to sacrifice his kingdom drove Imogen to tell him the final line of the prophecy and the implication that she would decimate the order of all things. Theo doesn't care and refuses to agree to the severance, and Imogen resolves to take matters into her own hands.
I feel like this is like, oh, a classic, mm, decimate the order of all things, but all things right now are really fucked up. So like, is it really a bad thing? She's thinking of it in a negative light,
Yeah,
but like for the people who it's affecting negatively, like if you decimate the order of all things, like maybe it'd be a good
I
thing.
had the exact same thought. I was like, she's obviously taking this negatively, but like decimating the order of things, it's not saying that you're like destroying everything. You're changing the way things work. Like that's not necessarily a
It's
bad
all
thing.
clearly fucked up. Yeah, it's fine.
Much
This
to
needs to
think
happen.
about. Okay, so at this point, okay, so this is what like my theory was of what happened, um, based on the Empress's story and then this information. So I'm suspecting that Nemea distracted the Empress while Yusha murdered the Nells, stole their wealth, and kidnapped Ligeia, and then forced her to have his baby. That was my suspicion. He then pinned their murder, the Nell's murder, on Ligeia, and then mounted her wing on his wall, saying that the monster slain for her crimes in Obelia. That was what my theory was at this point.
Okay. Chapter 25 now. Theo and Imogen leave the palace to join the Obelians on the beach for their blessing ceremony. Imogen is surprised to find the Empress is not in attendance and that Princess Hala is leading the blessing herself. Hala confronts Imogen in private conversation, and Imogen gets her to admit that she has done something to lose her mother's favor and is seeking this union with Theo to regain it. With a promise not to harm Theodore, Hela begins her ceremony, but Imogen quickly recognizes the ritual robes and chant as a spell cast to Euthia. I'm never going to get that right. She interrupts the ceremony and drags Hala into the sea, forcing her to tell her what spell her family asked Euthia for their for her to earn their worship and what was the payment required for it. Hala admits it was her mother who received her gift. Euthia gave the Empress's child, and in return she gave Euthia the body of Hala's father. A threat from Hala and an appearance from the oh fuck Nekya
You know what? I gotta know what inspiration. Sorry, keep going.
beckoning her home, harden Imogen's resolve, and she demands a ship prepared for her journey before she drinks the severing draught and passes out from pain.
So she finally did it. I'm curious, like what's the inspiration? It's some kind of mythology, clearly. Draws inspiration from mythology, siren lore, dark fantasy, romance novels, the music of Hozier, and set against the backdrop of the California coast.
What?
That's what it says.
For what?
I'm just curious what the like what inspiration specifically I wanted to know like what mythology was she drawing from when she was writing this book because I wanted to know where the names came from. Like
Oh,
what's the inspiration behind the names? Greek myths,
yeah.
drawing from Greek myths like the Odyssey. Just curious. Okay. Oh, I have a feeling that home, they keep referencing home when Yusha's talking to her, and I just have a feeling it has another meaning besides Seraph, which is what Imogen thinks of home. But I don't think that's right.
Oh, sorry. I was just looking up the Nekya, and it's necromancy and calling the dead. It's a magical threat in the book's lore related to powerful magic corruption within the realm. There's a rite
That
by
makes
which
sense.
ghosts were called upon and questioned about the future.
Oh. So that are they
Interesting.
actually
Okay, anyway,
creatures
sorry.
in Greek mythology?
Okay. In ancient Greek cult practice and literature, a nekya or nekya is a rite by which ghosts were called upon and questioned about the future. So it's
Oh,
like something they did, I guess, like a rite. A
gotcha.
writ. Rite.
Yep, right. Um, Okay, so the only thing I had of note, I was chapter 26 was super short. It's just her hallucinating as she's going through the severance. But I thought it was very interesting. There was one line in there that stated that she has never been to the sea without the presence of Theo's bond. And I was like, oh yeah, so because she was hidden in Nemea's fort for her whole life, and then they bonded before she boarded his ship to leave. So she has never been like outside of Nemea's fort and on the sea without his bond. So I was just interested to see how that would like change her powers as she knows them because she doesn't even know her own
Yeah.
powers. So
Chapter 27. Imogen wakes in an unfamiliar room and is told that it has been 3 days since she drank the draught and the severance was complete. Theo had brought her down to the healers and had just left after the Chancellor dragged him out. She was told that Agatha and the Empress had also been to see her, and she had a note from Lachlan letting her know her ship was ready to sail. Theo left her a binding gown, a note, and a ring as a promise to be together again after her journey was finished. She heads to the docks to board her ship, where she notices the Empress sailing away and Theo and the princess seeing her off. She runs into Lachlan, who bids her safe travels, and when she tells him to pass her love to Agatha, he admits he hasn't seen her since the previous night. Worried, she sends him to search for her, and as she's boarding her ship, war horns sound and a fleet of enemy Serafi warships appear.
where's Agatha?
Uh, yeah, where is she?
Mm-hmm. What's in the box?
What's in the box?
Also, yeah, Lachlan is giving me whiplash. I'm like, at
Yeah.
one point, I'm like, okay, I really like in the beginning, I was like, oh, he's a fun, like, best friend character. And then I was like getting real suspicious of him. And then now I'm like, okay, maybe he's actually, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know how to just feel about him.
Yeah, I don't know how to take him.
Yeah. Chapter 28. As King Nemea's warships approach, Imogen is determined to help fight her father's fleet. In trying to shirk the captain of the Hercule, she lures a handful of sailors to hold him back. They listen, but then Imogen watches in horror as she loses control of her lure, and despite trying to stop them, the sailors gut the captain throat to navel, recite Yusha's prayer, toss him into the sea, and then throw themselves in after. Realizing that without her bond to Theo, her lure is now nothing more than puppet strings for Yusha, she boards a Varian warship and helps the crew to sink a Serafi cutter. When she spots Nemea himself on board his flagship, she flies across the expanse between their ships, lures the crew to tie Nemea to the mast and throw themselves overboard. Nemea puts up no fight, smiling as his crew is sacrificed to Yusha. Dun dun!
Dun, dun, dun. All right, chapter 29. Alone on the flagship, Imogen commands the wind and currents to push the ship away from Varia and faces Nemea. Oh my god, these names give me whiplash.
True. Trush.
Varia and faces Nemea. He finally tells her the story of his past and hers. When he was young, he set sail on a quest to make his own power. He sought the mage seers, as they had been successful in doing so, and ended up in Obelia in search of Eusia, under the lie that she could grant him power without payment. Centuries prior, Eusia had washed up on shore on Obelia, gutted yet alive, and they worshipped her as their saint. For an offering, she would grant miracles to her followers. When he arrived, he met Empress Nivala, who was as power-hungry as he was, and she took him to make his offering to Eusia. He asked for destruction of the sirens in retaliation for destroying his fleet, and in payment he would take Eusia home to perform a spell to end Ligia and her sirens. Before leaving Obelia, the Empress asked for a final miracle and traded her husband's life for a child. The Nels were killed by Nemea to feed Eusia on her journey. Eusia's goal was for Nemea to have a child with Ligia, giving her generations of god powers to feed on, making her unstoppable. When Ligia learned that Nemea had helped move Eusia, she attacked his ship and bound herself to him in an attempt to prevent him from harming her or her sirens. After bonding, he hid her on land, far from the sea, to keep her safe from Eusia. But when she became pregnant, she was determined to give birth in the sea. She left at night, and when Nemea realized she was gone, he raced to the beach to find bloody water. Ligia's wing floating on top, and Imogen crying on the beach as if tossed to shore. Eusia took her, but didn't kill her, as their bond remained intact. Nemea swore that for as long as their bond remained, he wouldn't let Ligia's daughter suffer her same fate, and instead fed Eusia her blood slowly over many years. But now he believes their bond is gone and plans to either hide Imogen away in Seraph again, or if she resists, gut her and send her overboard to Eusia using the same spell Eusia used to save herself from death to keep Imogen alive until she arrives.
Dun dun. This feels like an episode of one of the final episodes of a TV show.
Yeah, like a soap opera.
Right? So I feel like Nemea giving Whiplash, claiming that he has no love for Imogen, but then offering to take her back and hide her again feels like you like Krabby Patties, don't you, Squidward?
I
I'm
also feel
like
like
reading and I'm like,
it's also him just being like, I could still use you for something.
yeah. Well, I just
It's
feel
kind of
like there's so many times where she's like, "Oh, like did you love her? Like, oh, does it hurt you when you hurt me?" Like, and he's like, "No. No, of course not." Like that's how it feels. He's just like,
oh,
"Nuh-uh. I'm big bad scary man." Uh not my favorite. He also I also picture him as this like crusty um I don't know, this like greasy, crusty, like old guy. So when she like references him at one point, she's like, he used to be really handsome. I was like, thanks for the
I am.
suggestion, but no.
I imagine him as the king from like the cartoon Disney Rapunzel or Sleeping Beauty, like the older one. Hold on,
There was a king in that? I remember
yeah,
Maleficent.
Sleeping
Yeah,
Beauty
you have to show me.
Disney king. I just remember because they would eat like
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't think I
No.
understand. Yeah. I don't think I understand what barrel chested means because that's how she referenced he was like several times. And I was like, is I'm not getting a read on what this guy looks like, except he just
Barrel
is
chest,
giving greasy.
a barrel chested is like someone who's like strong in the chest, but they're not like life like Daniel.
Oh,
He would be
oh,
barrel
okay.
chested.
Good. Very good. I'm gonna clip that and send it to him. So is it
Just so
somebody
you
that's
know.
like is it somebody that's like hitting the gym all the time but always skips leg day? Because they have like twig legs.
No, I think it means like it's just like no, because they can still have like like normal legs. It's just like it just means that they have a big broad chest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna picture he has like really tiny legs though. Never does leg
He
day.
skips he skips leg day. Don't they have a ton of steps in that castle though? He probably has like
You're right.
calves of steel.
You're right. Well, okay, and then they she also describes him a lot as like going red in the face from like his anger. And so that's where I think I just like have this image of this like short, broad, skinny legs, and then he just like like big like red cheeks and he gets angry. And then with that one line she tries to be like he used to be really handsome and I'm like,
Don't say
"Thank you,
that.
but no."
No, no thanks.
All right. Chapter 30. Imogen and Nemea face off as she refuses to be obedient and afraid anymore and chooses instead to fight. Unfortunately, she is unskilled with the blade and tries instead to use her lure to stop Nemea. But too late, he realizes what she did and the implications of her lure failing, and by then has already dealt a fatal blow to her stomach. When he realizes she tried to lure him and failed, he understands his bond remains and Ligeia must still be alive. Frantic to save Imogen, he attempts Yusha's spell to save her life. The bleeding slows, but the wound remains, and Nemea's eyes sear from his skull in payment. Ooh, hamburger. Imogen
All right.
recalls the account of Yusha's execution and figures out that her home is the Siren's home island of Anthemosa, which is unreachable due to a blight that kills all who approach. With his own sword pressed to his throat, Nemea reveals that Yusha allowed him and the Empress onto the main island and that the Empress still serves Yusha by feeding her sirens. Dread fills her as she puts the pieces together that Agatha went missing the night before the Empress sailed away from Varia and that she'd taken her to feed Yusha. Imogen follows through on her threat and drives Nemea's sword straight through his neck. I thought it was refreshing to see a female character's lack of training represented realistically. Like she she doesn't know how to fight like with a weapon, but she also doesn't really know how to use her powers, but she knows her powers more. So I
Yeah.
appreciated that she was on a ship in the middle of a storm with an unfamiliar sword and she was like not there's no way in hell she was going to win that fight and I'm glad that they didn't try to be like and suddenly she had this burst of courage and I was like no. She got stabbed.
Okay, chapter 31, last chapter. Imogen awakes on the desk of Nemia's ship, and instead of Nemia's body, she finds a Nekia that tells her Nemia performed the spell incorrectly. She would die if Yushia didn't fix the spell, and if Imogen dies, so dies Yusia's power. Imogen agrees to perform the spell if Yusia reveals how to get to her. Uh, Yusia admits that while their bond allows her to siphon Imogen's power, they cannot harm each other, and she wants the Empress to bring Imogen to Anthemos so she can help Yusia sever their bond and forge a new bond to drain her power, like she has done to Ligia. Quickly, Imogen devises a plan to take Hala as her aide onto Anthemosa to end Yusia and agrees to let Yusia heal her in exchange for safe passage onto the island. They perform the spell, sealing her wound with kelp, but Yusia double-crosses her by adding a term. She will lead Yusia to Theo by making her yearn for his god's blood so she can steal his powers too. Her wants were overshadowed by Yusia's desires to become more powerful and seek revenge. Using her power, she commands the sea to take her back to Barrio one last time, where she can finish her journey. Kill Yusia, find Agatha, keep Theo safe. Safe from her, she has become the biggest threat.
Dun, dun. Okay. I wanted to ask, so the first character, I don't think anybody else has really died. But yes, Nemea turns out side character, side bad guy. Um how did you feel about his character?
He was dumb. Nemea,
Yeah.
he was just a greedy bitch. That's who he was. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
He was greedy. He
Terrible
just
father
wanted
figure.
power. Yeah, would not recommend.
Would not recommend having a baby with him.
Mm-mm.
Way to go. Uh I thought so he said it, but it was kind of hard for me to buy. He said that it was a huge mistake. Like her mom wasn't stupid, but she was dumb when she bonded to him. Like it was a dumb decision. And I get like what they said the thought process was that she was like going to try to force him to not be able to harm her by bonding to him. But I was like, that's it felt kind of like a cheap explanation for why.
But also, he did hurt her. He
After
like hurt
they
her.
bonded?
He hurt her all the time. Oh, the daughter.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm talking about Lygia, sorry.
Oh, okay, okay.
that but that whole thing, like I thought it was I thought it was a cheap explanation for why Lygia would like risk everything to bond to somebody. I felt like the siren bond seemed like it was so much bigger of a deal
Yeah.
for her to just be
But also,
like, I heard you're a bad guy. Let me bond to you so you can't hurt me.
like, isn't she supposed to be like super powerful?
Yeah, I don't know.
Hmm. Seems
So,
suspicious.
and then so she bonds to him, and I get that like love is supposed to make you make stupid decisions, but whatever. She bonds to him, and he said her biggest fear was to have children so that Yusha could use them against her. So that's why she like never had kids. Yusha's whole plan the whole time was to force her to have a baby so that she could siphon like generations of power. And so they bond, and she ends up having a baby, which was like her biggest like, no, I'm not gonna have a baby, and then decides still to like give birth in the sea when she knew how that was gonna end. She knew how that would end. There's no other way that could have ended.
It's just weird.
It's like I don't know if I'm buying that. Like I'll give you a pass, but I'm suspicious.
It's not. Yeah, it's suspicious. There's some weird shit happening.
So we need to meet Lygia, I assume, in the second because she's not dead. Turns out we need to meet her in the second book so I can ask her some freaking questions.
Yeah, we got some questions for you, lady.
I have some questions. All
All right.
right.
Theories and predictions. Did any of our theories or predictions come true?
Okay, the first one was yours.
Imogen's
Imogen's prophecy would be
prophecy
her biggest fear.
and yeah,
Yep.
now she's afraid to be Theodore's worst nightmare.
Yeah. There was more to it. Like there were more, I think, things in the prophecy than maybe I thought originally. Like there would be. I thought it would be just like, oh, here's one thing, but there was like three. But yeah, I think when it comes down to it, yeah, I mean, it did involve what she would be the most afraid of.
Hmm.
Theodore would end up choosing Imogen as queen, and they would end up together. Yes and no. He chose her
Yeah.
as his queen. They are not together
This
yet.
would slight the Empress of Obelia, driving her to join forces with King Nemea in retaliation, setting up a future conflict. I mean, she's kind of the problem, so there's
Yeah,
definitely
she's
gonna
the
be
problem.
she's a problem, so she's gonna be there next time.
Yeah. So that was not it. I was definitely thinking she was more just like trying to take an opportunity and turn it her in her favor, but turns out she's the kind of the mastermind, right hand to Yusha. So
What are your predictions for the next book? The next one comes out next July, July 7th. 7/7.
7-7. Okay, really like a super quick 2 sentences or less. I think obviously we're gonna meet Ligeia, right? She's not dead. I think that she's gonna sacrifice herself to complete the transfer spell and give Imogen all her power, and then Imogen will use that power to defeat Yusha. I think otherwise, why would they have referenced the whole fact that Theo's dad gave Theo his power? Because that,
Yeah,
like, he said that, and then we never referenced it again. So I'm like,
yeah,
that's what's gonna happen.
yeah.
Also, we'll get some more sexy time.
Yeah,
Mm.
I agree.
What do you think?
I'm thinking, I mean, I know I kind of said it, something with the Empress. There's something weird there. And then also my predictions about Lucia and Ro Rwanda, Rwanda,
Yeah. Yep.
her,
Being kind of the same person.
or something's weird with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
I agree. Well, she's got to come back at some point because also with mine, Rohana would have to be the one to perform that transference ritual based on what they said, which was that like only the person who creates the spell can use it, and the transference spell was hers. So like they would, if that was going to happen at some point, Rohana would have to come back into the picture. So okay, well we'll take note of that. Should we read the second book when it comes out? Let us know. Maybe we'll decide first though, because now we're going to talk about ratings and recommendations, and we'll have our kind of final rating for how we enjoyed this book or not. And obviously, Arian, if you've been listening for any amount of time, Arian and I have different tastes in books sometimes. So first of all, if you're new here, this is the rating scale that we use. I'm going to put it right up here. Um, and my case, even though I really, like I said, I really hate it when characters make self-sacrificing decisions and then they don't include the other character. They like kind of make decisions for them without including all the information. I hate that, but I did love the way that Imogen overcame her learned fear and is reclaiming her power quite literally. And I'm actually very excited to read the second book. I don't know if it's going to be an ongoing series or just a duology, but I would like the conclusion, please. So because of that, I'm giving it 4 stars. And then only a couple scenes of spice, but some incredible declarations of love from Theo. So I give it 2 spicy chili peppers.
Um,
Arian.
so I I'm gonna give it 2 stars based off of our ratings. When we read the first third of it, it was 3 stars for me. But I think I just have troubles with like maybe the writing style or something because like reading the back of the book, I was like, hell yeah, this sounds amazing. And like starting it, I was like, yeah, this sounds pretty good. But like I don't know how to explain what it is that like I had a hard time reading this. Like it was hard for me to stay wanting to read it. And like if you put this book in an outline and like gave me bullet
Mm,
points and stuff, I'd be like, fuck yes, fuck yes, fuck yes. And there's a few spots in here where I like enjoy what's happening, but then like when I'm reading it, I'm kind of like, "Ugh." So I don't know why I had trouble with
yeah.
it, but that's just how I feel. So
Yeah.
just
Maybe something, yeah, just like you said, the writing style or like the voice, maybe.
yeah,
Okay.
because like I love sirens, and so like I picked this book. I was so excited, and now I like read it, and I'm like, why can't I? Why am I not enjoying it?
Hey, that's fine. You don't have to. So I liked the vibes. I was here for the vibes. In my opinion, there wasn't any like voice issues that I couldn't get past. I think we talked in the first episode briefly about how like sometimes it felt like she would change topics in like the middle of a paragraph. So I had to be like, wait, did I skip a page or something? Um but I didn't catch myself doing that in the second half of the book. So I don't know. I think a couple 2 or 3 times the first half, but I didn't catch it in the second. So that was my only voice gripe issue. Um so we'll meet in the middle and we'll give it 3 stars and 2 spices. Okay, recommendations. If you enjoyed this book, I would recommend The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. We did cover that book on our show before. But I felt like it had a similar feel with a female character that breaks out of her sheltered upbringing and faces her oppressive parent figure, and also has like kind of a noble main male character.
If you like the idea of sirens and want another siren book, Helen Scher has like a whole series that you can get on Kindle Unlimited. She's got like the whole series called Curse of the Siren Queen, and siren spelled Cyren. But that one's like a good siren one. Like I love them, but that's a good one. That's a good.
All right. So, what did you think of In the Veins of the Drowning? Did you like it like me or not your favorite like Arian? Let us know in the comments. And let us know if you agree with our ratings or our recommendations. Join us next week where we'll be finishing up Leave Me Behind with chapters 20 through 43. And votes are in. Our February book club read is going to be One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. So get your books and you can find the reading plan on Patreon. We may or may not be becoming a Rachel Gillig fan club over here. Don't forget to catch our deep dive of the Broken Kingdom series. We are most absolutely an LJ Andrews fan club over here. Only on Patreon. Stick around for the moonlighting portion of this episode where we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions and our 2026 ins and outs. Catch y'all next week. Bye.
Oh.